What's up, gamers? The Red Dragon here, and we are checking out some Bad Company 2 footage. I thought maybe that it was a good time to bring up some Bad Company 2 footage since we're talking about Bad Company 3 versus Battlefield 4 a lot in the past few days. But first off, we've got a lot to talk about during the course of this video. We're going to be talking about Battlefield 4 and the release date and the timing and all that. But first off, I want to talk or touch on the trailer that just released today. Of course, they just released the trailer for Armored Kill. If you haven't seen that, then you should go check that out after this video. But it looked pretty cool, and we got to finally see a snow map. So yes, a multiplayer snow map is coming with the Armored Kill expansion pack, which is supposed to be releasing in September. And I don't think they've got an official firm date on it yet, but of course premium members supposed to get it 2 weeks early. So now that that's out of the way, let me know what you thought of the trailer, if it just totally blew you away. Once you've seen the jets and everything, it's hard to reach that climactic moment that you saw when you first saw a Battlefield 3 trailer, but it was still exciting. It didn't totally blow me out of my seat. I didn't have a mess to clean up afterwards in my pants, but it was okay. And I'm ready to play it, definitely, because, my Battlefield time has kind of been cut back a lot lately. I just, haven't been having the urge to jump on because the maps are getting a little stale, and I'm ready for something new. And so Armored Kill is definitely going to deliver that. Which brings me to the big topic today, which is the release date for the next Battlefield game. Okay, so let's talk about, are you kind of stale with Battlefield, and will the DLC really pick that up? And how long do you expect you to be in that just insane mode on those 4 new maps? Is that going to pick it up and carry you through another year? I really don't think so. So I think a lot of people are getting upset because they're kind of focused in on the here and now, and they're not really looking at the future. I mean, we're still talking a year out at least. We're talking about over a year. And so Battlefield 3, it doesn't mean that it's done whatsoever. They've already come out and said, this is not saying that we're done with Battlefield 3. They have several teams working on different projects, and whether they told you about it or not, they have already been working on Battlefield 4. It's not something where they just got together last week and it's like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should start on Battlefield 4. Oh, okay, well go post a picture of it. It's nothing like that. This was set out, and this decision was made a long time ago. So whether you're pissed about it and the announcement now, you were going to hear about it sooner or later. Now, I think they could have done a little bit better job as far as trying to bring it up. I don't think it was the best way, but again, it's the PR firm, I'm sure, probably pulling all the strings, and there's no such thing as bad publicity. I'm sure you've heard that statement before, and it's absolutely true. Everybody's talking about Battlefield 4 now. Whether it's in a negative or positive impact, it doesn't matter. Next year, when Battlefield 4 is getting ready to release, or whenever the time is, whether it's next year or the beginning of the 2014, whatever, when that time rolls around, the hype machine's going to be out, and everybody who's pissed off right now saying, oh, I'm not going to buy another Battlefield, you're going to be changing your mind, because that's a year out from now, and by then you're going to be tired of Battlefield 3. You're going to be ready for something new, I guarantee it. But let's talk about the release date. Is it really that soon? Everybody's already jumping to conclusions, and I've read so many comments where it was like, oh god, this is the next Call of Duty. Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty. Everything gets compared to Call of Duty. Well, let's look at the actual history of DICE and EA. Let's look to see when those games came out, and what I'm pulling from is the Wikipedia page. You can go in there, look up Battlefield series release dates or whatever, and it'll give you a full list of when the last games were released. So let's start with the front one. The very first official Battlefield game, 1942, that was back in 2002. I played that game, loved it, and that's the game that I first I got a joystick just for that game. And God, I don't like to brag very often, but I could nail a pin with a dummy bomb and a jet. I loved it. I was a bitch though. I guarantee you that. A lot of people probably hated playing with me or against me, whatever, because I would just spam the planes and just spawn camp basically with the jet. I know I've changed since then, but those were my younger years. 2002, 1942. The following year, 2003, there was a couple expansion packs for that. Then in 2004, 2 years later, the big game comes out again. Battlefield Vietnam. That was another great game. You know, Battlefield Bad Company 2 Vietnam just didn't do it for me like Battlefield Vietnam did, and I think a lot of it had to do with the music, the radio. It just wasn't as good. It didn't have near as many tracks on it, but either way, that was 2 years later, 2004. Then the following year, the big mega hit Battlefield 2 came out, so that's only a year after Battlefield Vietnam. Then also in 2005, later on that year, and also in 2006, there were like 3 expansion packs for Battlefield 2, which could also be interpreted as DLC. So there we go. There we have Vietnam in 2004, Battlefield 2, 2005. Then we jump ahead to 2006, and that's when we start seeing the Xbox 360, the modern combat show up. Also in 2006, we had 2142. That's a big one that a lot of Battlefield players are hoping that we get. And you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we did see something about 2142. They've been awfully quiet about not really talking about it, but there were a few clues that seemed to point towards a 2142 in some of the maps on Battlefield 3. So, you know, that could possibly be an expansion pack as well. That's mixed in. But anyway, that was in 2006. 2008, Bad Company, the very first one comes out. 1943 comes out 1 year later in 2009. 2010, we see Bad Company 2 coming out 2 years after Bad Company. And then Battlefield Vietnam comes out the same year later on. And then here we are, Battlefield 3, 2011. And the next Battlefield game, Battlefield 4, at least the next one that's announced officially, comes out at least 2013. So another 2 years down the road. Now that might have been a little confusing for some of you to follow. So I apologize if I didn't do it in the best way. But there you go. 2 years is pretty average for these games. And like I said in the very get-go, if you're playing Battlefield 3 right now, you are going to want some new changes probably in a year or so. Now, right now, you're thinking about Armored Kill. You're thinking about that DLC that you haven't got your hands on yet. But, you know, you're not thinking about when you actually get that DLC, and then you're going to play it for a few months, and then you're going to be back where you are kind of right now, which is kind of in between, waiting for the next new thing. We just got Close Quarters. The news kind of wore off on that for a lot of people, at least it has for me. And now I'm looking for something new. And Armored Kill's going to fill that void for a little bit, and then the next DLC pack's going to fill that void. And so I think these guys kind of know what they're doing, and I'm not worried whatsoever about them rushing Battlefield 4 or talking about it. Now, if you want to get into the debate as whether it should have been Bad Company 3 or Battlefield 4, you know, that's a debate I guess you can have, but you know, it's really not up to us. The developers are going to do what they feel best, or EA, or whatever business decision. And there's a couple of different reasons why I guess I could see their point of view as why they would want to move into Battlefield 4 region instead of Bad Company 3. One is Battlefield 3 sold a lot better than Bad Company did. So they want to try to keep that momentum going, keep that series fresh on everybody's mind and fresh in the news, and everybody's talking about Battlefield. So that could be one instance. One of the developers actually did say the other day, they were asked about Bad Company 3, and they said, look, if you haven't heard about it, it's not because we don't love the series or we're not talking about it behind the scenes. What that means, who knows? You know, you can interpret it whatever. They leave crap wide open, so you just guess and you keep on asking questions, but I guess that makes it good for me because that way I have videos to talk about. But they were asked, or asking the audience pretty much, what was it that was so special about Bad Company that you want to see Bad Company 3 instead of Battlefield 4? And so I guess this is a question that I could pose to you guys, and maybe we'll put together a video and I'll send it to those guys and say this is what we liked about Bad Company over Battlefield. And there are a lot of things that I did like about Bad Company over Battlefield, and there's some things that I like better on Battlefield. You know, you could look at the gameplay differences, and there were some. You know, the biggest, I guess, thing that you couldn't do in Bad Company that you could do in Battlefield, which was going prone. That was a big ordeal or discussion topic that was talked about when the games were getting ready to come out. But for me, like, it just felt so much more action-packed a lot more often. There were seemed like always explosions going off on the buildings, or buildings falling completely down and crumbling, and we were supposed to see that destruction with the Frostbite 2 engine and with Battlefield 3, and I'm totally underwhelmed with the destruction in Battlefield 3, and I never would have thought that that would have been an issue. You know, when we were at that point, whenever Bad Company 2 was kind of getting old and we were getting ready for Battlefield 3, that wasn't one of the things I actually really thought was going to be a problem. It's like, hey, is destruction going to take a step backwards? And I think they tried to go a little bit more realistic, but here's the big topic with what made Bad Company so special, and I think it was that realism. Bad Company wasn't so realistic. You could jump off a building, press the parachute, and still be completely healthy. And in Battlefield 3, you know, you fall off a 5-foot cliff just trying to jump down, and there you are, you're getting damaged, and it felt just so much more realistic. And Bad Company, I never took it that serious. So I think that was one big difference between the two. Well, that does it for me, the Red Dragon. Post your comments below. Give me a like. I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.